Hey, hello everybody, welcome back to my channel where stories and other fun things interstage, imagination is prized above all. Happy Saturday. By the time you're seeing this, it's almost Christmas. I think it's like a week before, I can't remember, but it's almost Christmas. I'm pretty excited. I do have a video coming out either before or I think before Christmas or during Christmas Eve, I don't know. I do know I have a video coming out for probably Christmas or something. Maybe. I can't remember right now. I have scheduled these in advance. Anyway, I am here for my watch list recommendations for after Yuri on Ice. So let's begin. I have 11. So the first one is Ouran High School Host Club. I will link the playlist below. I reacted to like 13 episodes and did a couple of other videos. I'm hoping to make more Ouran High School Host Club related videos though, because I want to rewatch the series and talk about it more. 2 is Fruits Basket. I've talked a lot about this and I'm pretty sure I recommended it after Ouran High School Host Club, but just in case. Fruits Basket follows Toru Honda, who is living in a tent because her grandfather's house is going through renovations and she just doesn't want to be a bother or whatever. Also, her father died when she was 3 and her mother died pretty recently. So she's basically just like, trying to make trying to live on her own for a while. However, due to certain events, she ends up moving into the Soma family household. And there she discovers a secret. The family is under a curse. Certain members of the family basically turn into animals from the Chinese zodiac signs. They turn into Chinese zodiac animals, I'm sorry, when they're hugged by the opposite sex. So now Toru is allowed to keep the secret, but what else is happening in that family? The next one is 7 Deadly Sins. 7 Deadly Sins follows the third princess of Leonis, Elizabeth, who is on a quest to find the 7 Deadly Sins, which is basically a band of knights that supposedly committed horrific crimes. And she is on the search for them so that they can help her get her kingdom back. Yeah, that's basically the plot. She ends up finding Meliodas by accident, really. She ends up finding Meliodas, the captain of the 7 Deadly Sins, and he agrees to help her find the others and everything, so yeah. The next one is Oh Maidens In Your Savage Season. Now, by the time this is out, I would have reviewed this, but because I haven't talked a lot about this on the channel and it is a recent anime I watched, I do want to talk about it. So the basic premise of Oh Maidens In Your Savage Season is that there are these 5 girls who are teenagers and who have a lot of pressure on them, so they're trying to understand their emotions, and the way they choose to do it is to form a literature club, basically. Like that is the best way I can explain it. So the next one is Violet Evergarden. I have talked about this one a lot. It is one of my favorites. Honestly, I consider it anime therapy. It's just that good. So Violet Evergarden follows Violet after the war has ended. She used to be a soldier at war, and that was like her main thing, and now she doesn't really know what to do with herself. So she decides though to become an auto memories doll, which are basically these they're basically transcribers and they write letters for people. And the reason she chooses to do this is to understand the last 3 words that her major said to her, which were the words, "I love you." And she starts figuring out emotions and also helping other people. It's very cute. It's very cute. The next anime is Rising of the Shield Hero. Again, linked below. Next one is Naruto. I know I've talked about this a lot and I'm going to continue talking about it because Naruto is just great. So we follow our titular character Naruto, who is the vessel of the Nine-Tailed Fox. 12 years earlier, basically the Nine-Tailed Fox attacked the village and the Hokage decided to save it by basically locking the Nine-Tailed Fox in a baby whose umbilical cord had just been cut, said Naruto. And because of this though, Naruto is an outcast in his village. Like, he is treated like shit. Like, he is an outcast, right? everybody kind of just pushed him away. No, not everybody really believes in him. And due to this, he ends up deciding, you know, like, he ends up just like deciding to, you know, have this specific goal. Like, he ends up having this specific goal at the end, and that is to become Hokage, which is like the leader of the village. And the reason he chooses to do this is so that people can stop disrespecting him and start looking up to him. And we kind of just start seeing him throughout the series as he grows, and well, he and his friends also grow, and he starts learning and everything. It's very it's interesting to watch. Also, this can also be considered anime therapy, honestly, in my thoughts. So number 8 is A Silent Voice. This is a movie, a very beautiful and sad movie that made me cry twice. But before you watch this movie, I do want to give you some content warnings for bullying and suicide. So keep those in mind when you watch this movie, because they are prevalent in the movie. But A Silent Voice follows Shoya, who is about to commit suicide, but eventually does not. He ends up deciding, the reason he decides to do this is because he's being very heavily bullied because he bullied a deaf girl in his past, and it was him and a couple of other kids, but a lot of the blame basically came to him. So he decides, that's just what he decided to do, and then eventually though, he doesn't do it and decides to go find Shoko, who's the person who's deaf, and he decides to find her and make amends. The next series is Avatar: The Last Airbender. I'm hoping I have reviews of this series before this comes out, but I'm not sure. But Avatar: The Last Airbender follows Aang, who is found by brother and sister Sokka and Katara in an iceberg, and they eventually find out that he is the Avatar who can basically bend all 4 elements. Right now, the world that they live in is at war with the Fire Nation. The Fire Nation basically declared war on everybody, and he needs to defeat Fire Lord Ozai in order to stop the war. So they go on a quest for him to learn the elements. However, in said journey, we find out through one of his past lives that he must defeat the Fire Lord by the end of summer, before Sozin's comet arrives, which will give them immeasurable power. So now the stakes have risen. 10, She-Ra and the Princesses of Power. So She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, from my understanding, is a reboot of the original She-Ra, which I actually tried watching at some point, and I got really annoyed because of the voices. The voices just kind of annoyed me. But you know, I actually should watch the original. But basically, She-Ra and the Princess of Power follows Adora, who is part of this, of the Horde, which basically just wants to conquer this planet. And she ends up finding out through certain events, though, that the Horde is not as good as she thought it was. So she ends up deserting and going to the side of the rebellion, and yeah. And the whole She-Ra thing just comes in because she turns out to be a legendary princess. It's very, very interesting. And last but not least, Boy Meets World. I have not talked about this series at all, and I'm surprised only because it surprised me that I just didn't mention it. But Boy Meets World is an old Disney series about Corey and friends, is how I'm going to describe it. Basically going through life. Like, that is the best way to describe this series, honestly. Truth be told. I don't have another way to describe this series. So these are my recommendations for the watch list for after Yuri on Ice. Let me know your thoughts. Do you have any others? I'm super curious if you do. If you like my content, consider subscribing, comment down below, and engage basically. And yeah, I'll see you in my next video. And until then, consume stories. Bye.
Voiceover unmuted. Login failed.
Oh.
Login failed.
What happened?
QuickTime Player. Movie recording. Window. Show captured device. 10. 0. Show captured. Stop recording. Button.
Oh, sorry
You are
about
currently
this,
on a
you
button.
guys.